Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Thread. Today is Monday, Memorial Day, May 29th. Beautiful day. Beautiful weather outside recently, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Shrewsbury, we have spectacular weather and continues today. It's just really, really beautiful outside. I guess in a way, a Memorial Day really signals the beginning of summer. So it's like only
Yeah,
appropriate that it should be sunny and warm. But it's a great day outside, and we had a parade here in the five towns earlier today.
a
You know,
parade.
yes, Memorial Day parade. You have veterans. There was a major parade. I see a couple of videos of some major parades. It's an important day. I don't think it gets the type of attention that it really should get. But
You think Memorial Day is underappreciated, and really the only thing people think about Memorial Day is the fact that they have off from work and maybe school?
well, that could be said true about a lot of stories, a lot of holidays. I mean, a lot of situations. But I think we don't appreciate Memorial Day, and we really should have a period of time, even just for a minute or so, to be able to just focus on what it's about. And the fact that we are remembering the people that sacrificed their lives for this country over the last several hundred years so that we could live in the freedom that we do. And
Right.
you see how tenuous and volatile things are in the world and how easy it is for a country to fall apart. And
Yeah,
you have to be at your best game. And that's what we have had.
absolutely. You had mentioned before we went live that there's a former president that just turned 100 years old.
No, he was never a president.
Who would you say it was?
I said Henry Kissinger.
Who am I mixing him up with?
I don't know. Henry Kissinger turned 100 years old, I think yesterday, or yesterday was Sunday, or maybe it was on Saturday. Henry Kissinger turned 100. He's 100% functioning. I have a story upstairs from the weekend, the Wall Street Journal, that I haven't read about him yet. He was Secretary of State for Richard Nixon. He was an architect of American foreign policy. He was a young Jewish boy from Germany who fortunately came with his parents and his younger brother to the United States before the war broke out. I think he came to the United States in 1933. And he was very deeply involved in the 1967 and 1973 wars between Israel and the Arabs. And that I think, and because he was Jewish and because he had to negotiate peace, or at least a ceasefire between
Yeah.
Israel and our Arab neighbors, it was like the first time you heard talk about, well, he's a Jew and he's going to favor Israel, so he's not going to be able to be fair to the Arabs. Is that proper? Is that right? That's really the first time I remember ever hearing talk like that.
You think that was the case? I don't, not really, right?
If anything, it worked exactly the opposite. If they say punkt verkehrt, because he was afraid of being identified or characterized as being pro-Israel, because he's Jewish, he made it his business to do things that would not necessarily serve Israel in the best possible way. So
Right.
he didn't want to be viewed as being partial to Israel.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Well, he definitely has lived a long life, and he should continue to live happy and healthy. But did you see over the weekend there was a city CUNY Law School commencement speaker, Fatima Musa Muhammad. She
Yeah.
spoke, and she took the opportunity at her graduation to say some pretty hateful words, and this is what she had to say.
To recognize that the law is a manifestation of white supremacy that continues to oppress and suppress people in this nation and around the world. We joined this institution to be equipped with the necessary legal skills to protect our communities, to protect the organizers fighting endlessly day in and out with no accolades, no cameras, no votes, no PhD grants, working to lift the facade of legal neutrality and confront the systems of oppression that wreak violence on them. Systems of oppression created to feed an empire with a ravenous appetite for destruction and violence. Institutions created to intimidate, bully, and censor and stifle the voices of those who resist.
So that's a pretty ridiculous thing to say at your college in America, where you're getting your law degree in America. She also had more to say about Israel specifically. Besides her saying that America law is a manifestation of white supremacy, like we just heard, she celebrated the fact that the school endorses BDS and enabled students to fight Israeli settler colonialism. She also said that Israel continues to indiscriminately rain bullets and bombs on worshippers, murdering the old, the young, attacking even funerals and graveyards, as it encourages lynch mobs to target Palestinian homes and businesses. And all these things that she said, she said that the school supports the BDS movement, was met with applause by this crowd in this college. I think that is awful. It is, again, pure, unadulterated anti-Semitism at its finest. Anti-Zionism, by the way, just for those in the back, anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. Okay.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to say about that. I don't know how deeply you want to go into this, but the Biden administration also um, introduced some theories and ideas about how to fight anti-Semitism in the United States this week, and they also compromised on it. Also, they stopped short of saying that if you're anti-Israel, that means that if you're anti-Israel, that's separate from being anti-Semitic. Okay.
Right.
Now, I know that I think, and I think that you think that it's difficult or impossible to separate being anti-Israel from being anti-Semitic. Because if you are anti-Semitic and you're trying to hide it, you can very easily hide behind being anti-Israel. Because what
Right.
is Israel other than a country that's made up of millions of Jews? So how could you possibly differentiate between the two? But guess who, when it came to the Biden administration policy to fight anti-Semitism, guess who fought them on not identifying anti-Semitism and being anti-Israel? Jewish organizations like J Street. They fought the idea that not to be able to separate being critical of Israel, critical of the Jewish state, critical of Jews living in Judea and Samaria, and
Yeah.
knocking somebody's hat off on the street and pushing them down in the street in Brooklyn or in Borough Park or Williamsburg, separate from that's anti-Semitism. The other thing is being anti-Israel, which is completely different, and it's a big problem. It's very
Yeah.
problematic. They masquerade under they had a great accomplishment in terms of confronting and dealing with anti-Semitism, but they really have they really haven't made anything better.
No, and specifically about this speech, Richie Torres tweeted in response. He said, "Imagine being so crazed by hatred for Israel as a Jewish state that you make it the subject of your commencement speech at a law school graduation. Anti-Israel derangement syndrome at work." And like that's the story here. It's pretty ridiculous that this person who doesn't even deserve to be named on this program is getting up there at a commencement speech at our law school and just taking that opportunity to spew hatred on Jews in Israel. You have professors sitting behind her and just nodding their head as she's talking about how it's amazing how the school supports the BDS movement, and it's met by an applause from thousands of people.
That's what
That's the story.
that's what a liberal education, especially in New York, includes these days. Why do you think the professors shook their head in agreement? Because they agree with her. Okay, they think that being supportive of the state of Israel is one of the worst crimes that a person could commit. They would like to see Israel dismantled, deconstructed, and if possible, they wouldn't cry over it being destroyed in some way. That is the
Yeah.
philosophy of a liberal education today, especially in a lot of universities and especially in New York.
Yeah. And speaking of a liberalism, um, this just in, I guess over the weekend as well. Obviously, we were in Yontif mode, but Target is down 11% in the last 5 days. Target is down 11% in the last 5 days. Obviously, this is happening because of their new, I guess, woke agenda of selling specific clothing items and books in their store that is
Mhm.
pushing an agenda that parents are not comfortable with, that shouldn't be sold in Target. North Face took the same is making the same mistake now, but Target falls to a 3-year low as nationwide boycott intensifies. The people on the right, the Republicans, are very happy about this. This is people standing up for what they believe in, and this is how it's manifesting.
Well, they're
What do you
stuck.
think about that?
In a way, they're stuck because they can't reverse themselves exactly, because they're going to come off as being intolerant and discriminatory. So they really just can't. It's not so simple to just reverse course and go back to the way things were before they started selling these types of items that people find so objectionable. Look what happened to Bud Light or Budweiser beer. They have
Yeah.
the same idea. I don't know. Someone's making a terrible miscalculation about what the United States of America is made of and what they want. I don't know how deeply you want to go into this either, because it's a very sensitive.
Yeah,
So,
well, listen, I think definitely the wrong decisions are being made at the corporate level here, which are taking these companies and driving them into the ground. We've seen it with Bud Light. We're seeing it now at Target. We're seeing it with North Face. Um, Here's a tweet from Patrick Ben David. He says Target lost $9 billion in a week after introducing their LGBTQ friendly kids clothing. That's down 12%. Bud Light is down 25%. This is a lesson for all Fortune 500 CEOs and CMOs.
I was reading the Wall Street Journal over the weekend, over Yontif. The percentage of people that identify with what you LGBTQ or that identify with a market that might patronize these types of items is a fraction of 1%. But yet the space and the time that it gets on the news, you would think it's the majority of the country. It's a tiny minority. It's a fraction of 1% of people that are involved in that type of lifestyle.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
And
nothing. So the question is, why is it get such a disproportionate amount of attention? And once again, it comes to the news media. The news media likes to talk about salacious, sensationalist type of things that get people to pay attention, and it creates a distraction that's not representative of what the reality is in the streets of America. And now these corporations are finding out. And I think it's going to be very, very difficult for them to recover from,
yeah.
because the majority of the country doesn't like it.
Yeah. It's well, we're seeing this happen. And it's very strange. It's very strange. And it's sort of a country divided, but we're seeing that again for a company to lose $9 billion in 1 week. Again, that's you're trying to create clothing and books and stuff that are catering to such a minority. It's not sustainable. It's just
You
not
know,
sustainable.
don't forget that uh, even according to the Democrats, 74 million people voted for Donald Trump in 2020. Okay, let's
Yeah,
say 81 million voted for Joe Biden. I don't want to have that conversation. But the fact of the matter is, 74 million people, and they acknowledge that 74 million people voted for Donald Trump.
yeah,
He got a lot of votes. Okay, he lost the election. Biden got 7 million more votes, so he won the election. I mean, the Celtics and the Heat are playing tonight, right? Someone's going to
yeah,
win. Someone's going to win. They're not going to win 124 to nothing. They might win 124 to 116. They scored 116. Whoever the loser is, but they still lost. Someone's
yeah.
going to win, but they represent something very significant.
Yeah. Speaking of the president race, something we didn't discuss in this program is that Governor DeSantis announced his bid for presidency. Several months ago, you said that you had heard that Governor DeSantis will not be running for president. Obviously, things change pretty, I guess, often in the political scene. And he announced on Twitter that he will be running. And this is what David Jolly had to say in response to Governor DeSantis running. He said that Governor DeSantis is far more dangerous than Donald Trump. Ron DeSantis is a very dark figure in the political landscape, far more dangerous than Donald Trump. So for starters, it's going to sort of be, I guess, primaries, Trump, DeSantis head to head. Who's getting your vote?
Who, me? I don't know yet. I don't know who I'm going to vote for yet. I think I'm going to wait for the primaries to take place and see who the candidate is. What should I say? Who am I going to vote for if they're not going
No,
to
I'm
be
saying, who are you voting?
nominated?
You're not voting in the primary. You don't get
Oh,
to
I,
vote in the
oh, I don't
primary.
know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who's going to be on the ballot in the New York primary. I really don't know. If I had to vote for DeSantis or Trump, I have
Yeah,
to
who
think
do you vote
about
for?
it. Ask me in a couple of days. I really can't tell you yet. I
Ask you
really
in a
can't
couple
tell you yet.
days.
Yeah. Let me
Who?
let me
Let me
think.
ask you a
Let me think
question. Let
about
me
it.
ask you a question. Who
Who are
has
you going to vote for?
who has a better
Who
chance?
who are you going to vote for?
Well, I'll vote for whoever has a better chance of getting to the White House. Honestly,
Well,
I think that
I would like to see the Republicans organize a little bit for the better good of the country, to work together a little bit. My fantasy and my political fantasy is that Donald Trump should run with Ron DeSantis as his running mate.
yeah,
He
it's not
should
happening.
he should win the election and then make up with DeSantis after 1 year. Trump resigns and DeSantis takes over. That's
Yeah,
what
but that
America needs.
again, but like I think Donald Trump has done so many crazy things over the years and said so many crazy things that it's might be political suicide for Ron DeSantis to align himself with that. Again, Donald Trump is not a politician.
That's
Governor
right.
DeSantis is a politician. So for
Right.
DeSantis to align himself with Trump and his ideology is a dangerous thing for DeSantis' future. He's a young guy. And I don't know. Listen, I think that the question is if Governor DeSantis, ends up winning the primary and he's going head to head versus Biden, is Donald Trump going to go ahead and endorse
Well,
Governor DeSantis?
a lot of people don't think Biden is going to be the Democratic candidate in 2024.
Who else? Who else is there? We're gonna have another Cory Booker. Cory Booker's gonna run again.
No,
Who else?
no, no. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of wild speculation.
Michelle Obama. Michelle.
That's a possibility. Hillary Clinton is a possibility. You know,
Okay, I think Hillary's political career is dead and gone. The
well,
one person I would be worried about
hello,
is
nothing.
Michelle Obama.
Let me tell you something about Joe Biden's political career is dead and gone, and he's president of the United States.
It's
So you
pretty
don't have to.
impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive accomplishment considering he doesn't know
Yeah,
where he is or what he's doing. What
yeah.
else you got? What else do you
No,
have
that's
on your
good.
agenda for today?
That's it. Again, I would say that it's person that I would be worried about is Michelle Obama. I keep hearing that name and it keeps getting me a little nervous. Like if she runs, she has a very, very real chance of winning because regardless of what we think Barack Obama did for the country, people on the Democratic side of things and maybe even the independent side of things say that Barack Obama was amazing and they might vote Michelle Obama. I think she would
The,
definitely win the vote over Joe Biden. So I don't know.
the issue is that we have to somehow make sure we have a fair and honest election in
Oh, of
2024.
course.
There
Oh,
was
of course.
too much junk going on in 2020, and there was a lot of cheating and in national election and the local elections and the gubernatorial elections, and it wasn't it just was not good for the country. The United
Yep,
States of America, the leader of the world, should be able to run a clean, honest, and accurate election. I think, and that's what we
I
have to
agree.
be concerned about.
Absolutely. Well, that is our episode of the Daily Thread, Memorial Day, May 29th. Getting this episode a little bit later than we wanted to, but we hope you are having a beautiful day. We hope you have a beautiful week. We'll be back at you with some more episodes this week, so stay tuned. Of course, leave a rating or review on this podcast. Sign up to our WhatsApp status. Link is in the description and the show notes. Have an amazing, amazing day.